Welcome to Check Your Litter TV. Today we're kicking off the Road to Bremen pint-sized campaign. We're going to start this pint-sized campaign off by setting the scene with a orders brief for the British player, which would be me. Okay, so without further ado, we will start the orders brief. Just quickly before we start, a couple of notes. You'll hear me refer to things like Starlight, Sheldrake and Ironsides. So who are these? Well, Starlight is medics or medical support. Sheldrake is artillery or indirect fire support. And Ironsides is armour and tanks. Settle down, listen in for orders for the upcoming operation. Questions at the end. Situation, as you're aware, since crossing the Rhine, resistance was at first fierce, but has now become sporadic. The war is coming to an end here in Europe. As a consequence, a company has been detached from the battalion and is now the core of Battle Group Staffordshire, and we are now operating in a newly designated area of operation, AO Dudley. Commencing tomorrow morning, we will advance on the port city of Bremen at 0500 hours. Tomorrow has been designated D-Day. The operation is codenamed Operation Matilda. Enemy forces. We believe we are facing a company minus from the 1st Battalion, 21st Motorised Infantry Regiment, and a company minus from an unidentified Jaeger battalion. We also know that there are various Volkssturm and Hitler Youth elements at platoon minus strength, and these are operating along our line of advance. Okay, composition. Let's focus here initially on the Germans from the 21st Motorised Infantry Regiment. This company that we're facing, it will be a 2-platoon strength company. Each platoon will have 3 squads. Each squad will have an MG42 and a rifle team. They'll be commanded probably by an experienced senior non-commissioned officer or even a junior officer. They will also be equipped with the usual anti-tank weaponry. INT has informed us that they have identified that they'll be probably packing the new Panzerfaust 100. This is bad news for our armour because it has an extended range, but it's good news for our infantry because it has no anti-personnel filler in it. So good news for the infantry, bad for the tankers. Make sure that you pass this on to your Ironside support elements. Let's look now at the composition of the Jaeger company. This is a company minus consisting of 2 platoons. Each platoon will be commanded by a lieutenant, and he will be assisted by a senior non-commissioned officer, Feldwebel. Each platoon will have at platoon headquarters a Panzerschreck and a marksman sniper. Each platoon will consist of 3 squads, and in each squad there will be 2 MG42 teams, and of course they'll have Panzerfausts just like the Hare platoon. Same considerations to be taken into account there. Now let's have a look at the possible Volkssturm platoons that we might encounter. If we do encounter any, they'll probably be fairly weak organisations, and they will be probably quite green. We shouldn't be too concerned with them. That said, they will be modelled on the lines of a standard German Hare platoon, so we can expect in each squad an MG42, and it'll also have a rifle team with the squads. These are normally led by fairly experienced old veterans, but the men themselves are probably going to be old men and maybe some young boys. As for the Hitler Youth elements out there, these little werewolves will be probably operating in very, very small teams. They might be in tank killer teams, or they might even be manning anti-aircraft weaponry. Armoured support. In all probability, we won't encounter much in the way of German armour. If we do encounter anything, it'll probably be pretty much second-rate kind of stuff. Intel suggests that the only armour they've seen operating in the area, either Panzer IIIs, Stugs, or the occasional Hetzer. Artillery support. Jerry's pretty much out of artillery support. It's all been neutralised. The Royal Artillery has done sterling work in that area, and our counter-battery fire has pretty much destroyed all German artillery in the area. We even suspect that their battalion mortars aren't available at this stage. Intel informs us that the enemy does have some anti-tank guns, probably Pak 40 75mm guns, operating in the area also. A final point in regards to enemy composition. We have heard rumours that the enemy have mined sections of the road using disused naval and Luftwaffe munitions. So we're going to have to be careful of that. This is a detailed map of AO Dudley. We are currently located just south of this road where it enters the map here, and our destination is the city of Bremen here. Key terrain features: the main road that travels through from south, heading northeast to the town of Bremen, and there are two river crossings that we need to consider, one located here and one just prior to the town of Bremen. These have been identified as key terrain, the two river crossings, and obviously the main route of advance to the town of Bremen itself. Ops has identified 8 possible areas where the enemy could try and delay our advance. Okay, so breaking these down by maps, this is map 1, has been designated by Ops. Map 1 shows a small village set among fields and orchards. The houses are shown with red roofs and are brick and offer hard cover. The grey roofs are outbuildings and only offer light cover. The fields are wet and poor going with a risk of AFVs bogging down. The gardens are enclosed with small walls and fences which provide soft cover. The trees are light orchards. I have designated map 1 as a likely enemy blocking point. Map 2 shows a small farm set aside from the main road. All the roads on this table are raised above low-lying farmland, and any ground off the road is damp and AFVs may bog in. Infantry movement is not hampered. As above, red roofs signify brick structures, grey roofs wooden structures like a barn. Hedges offer light cover and break line of sight unless troops are lining them. Map 3 is open country, where the main road to Bremen crosses a significant river. This bridge is intact and has not been destroyed. The buildings are as per all the other maps. Red buildings indicate hard cover, grey buildings are light cover. All ground is damp and may cause AFVs to bog in. I have designated map 3 as a likely enemy blocking point. Map 4 is open farmland with an area of woodland at the eastern end of the table. Here only the ploughed field is damp with the risk of AFVs bogging down. I doubt the enemy will try and stop us here. Map 5 represents a sprawling hamlet. The buildings are as previously described. The enemy might try and hold us up here, though I suspect not. Map 6 shows the twin bridges across the Weser, one for the railway and the other for the road traffic. Only the ploughed field represents damp ground. Other buildings are as previously explained. I have designated map 6 as a possible enemy blocking point. Map 7 represents the industrial sector of Bremen. These factory buildings have been heavily damaged by the British bombing campaign. The light grey areas represent the open yards near the factory. These will probably be surrounded by light fencing, though I suspect a lot of it has been destroyed, probably 50%. I've designated map 7 as a possible blocking point. And finally, we have the city of Bremen itself. This has been heavily damaged by bombing. This will make an excellent defensive position, and therefore I've designated this as a probable enemy blocking point. Enemy limitations. He has very little armour support and no indirect fire support. What armour he does have, we have been informed, will be second rate, as previously discussed. We have total air supremacy. This will severely limit the enemy's ability to manoeuvre or redeploy. The level of resistance is totally unpredictable, but we believe that where they do decide to fight, they will probably fight to the last man. Conversely, we could find this mission to be simply an exercise in rounding up prisoners. Enemy's most likely courses of actions. We believe his most likely course of action is he will defend the following areas at platoon plus strength and leave the other areas relatively undefended. Ops has ascertained that maps 1, 3, 6 or 7 and 8. Problem with 6 is he'll have his back to the river. He'll probably choose to fight in close terrain, thus negating our armour supremacy. He will probably divide his assets equally across the 4 platoons at his disposal, thus creating a collapsing defence that will naturally strengthen as he falls back onto more favourable terrain, and attrit our lads and hope our morale will collapse. Enemy's most dangerous course of action. That he'll mass all his support into 1 or 2 hedgehogs, causing maximum delay and attrition at 1 or 2 points of decision. I have deemed this unlikely, however, due to the enemy's inability to manoeuvre or redeploy. Friendly forces, battle group's mission and commander's intent. The battle group's mission is to secure the city of Bremen and associated infrastructure and economic assets in order to hinder the enemy's ability to resist and thus hasten the war in Europe. CO's intent, drive towards Bremen via route Waltz with maximum speed, destroying all opposition encountered en route. No bypassing will be permitted. It is imperative that the enemy is attrited so as to prevent a stiffening of resistance at Bremen. In short, the old man doesn't want a Stalingrad in Bremen. Adjacent units. We are effecting a drive on Bremen on an extremely narrow front, and consequently our flanks will be fairly open. Int ensures us that this isn't an issue, as there are no credible enemy formations within striking distance. We will have the battle group in its entirety to our rear within supporting distance, though their support is not anticipated as being required. We will have in direct support Ram Kangaroos, Battalion Pioneers, the Mech Recce section, and a troop of tanks from the Guards facilitating a full mechanised advance. We will also have a troop of Royal Horse Artillery anti-tank guns. Attachments and detachments. Attachments. The adjutant has been attached and will be at company headquarters with me. We also have Sergeant Crabb from 177 Battery, Royal Artillery. He will coordinate their 4.2-inch mortars and battalion mortars, and he will also be located at company headquarters. A troop from 154 Battery, Royal Horse Artillery anti-tank is also attached, and they will be located in the order of march directly behind the lead platoon. A squadron minus of tanks, including a pair of Fireflies from the Guards, will be located in the order of march directly behind the second platoon. Third platoon will be the rear guard. Platoons will be rotated so be prepared to adopt a change in tasking at short notice. Civilians are to be avoided and told to return to their homes if encountered. Terrain consists of predominantly semi-rural countryside as we approach Bremen. As already discussed, there will be a couple of river crossings. All the bridges are believed to be intact. The vast majority of ground will be heavy going, so movement off-road by armoured vehicles will be difficult, and there will be a risk of bogging. The main route of advance will be down the highway that has been designated route Waltz. Okay, so Obviously, the main road is a key terrain feature that needs consideration. To move off the road will slow us down, so we need to maintain momentum. Once we approach Bremen, we will start to encounter semi-industrialized areas. We expect these will be heavily damaged from the bombing campaign, so we can expect a lot of rubble and damaged buildings. These will also require to be negotiated, and I envisage that this is where some of the toughest fighting may occur, assuming that the enemy has a fight left in him. Mission: A Company, Battle Group Staffordshire, is to advance to Bremen via route Waltz and eliminate any opposition encountered and secure the city. Again, mission: A Company, Battle Group Staffordshire, is to advance to Bremen via route Waltz and eliminate any opposition encountered and secure the city. Execution. My intent: centre of gravity. I see each of the 3 platoons as my centre of gravity. Morale is high, the troops are well supported and led and well equipped. It's essential that each platoon clear each of its objectives as they are encountered with minimal casualties and maintain the momentum of the battle group's rate of advance. I can achieve this mission without tanks. I cannot achieve my mission without infantry. Critical vulnerability. I see this as us being tied to a single avenue of approach to the objective. This will limit our ability to manoeuvre, and I can see choke points develop. Exploitation plan. I plan to rotate the platoons often so as to maintain maximum strength at each point of resistance and prevent any one platoon becoming depleted. This should also help maintain the men's morale. Armoured and engineer support will be positioned well forward in the line of march to facilitate rapid support to the lead platoons. End state. Establish control over the port city of Bremen no later than 2200 hours on D-Day +4 with minimum casualties, and eliminate all enemy forces within AO Dudley. Concept of operations, scheme of manoeuvre. I intend to advance with 1 platoon forward and 2 platoons in reserve. This is because we're forced to advance down a single highway. I'll rotate the platoons in order of march as the situation dictates. Each platoon will have a troop of tanks in support. Upon contact, there will be no flanking at company level. Each platoon commander is to issue quick orders and put in a quick attack, with armoured support if the platoon commander deems it appropriate. I will come forward if a deliberate attack is required to overcome opposition. In the event of a mass surrender of platoon strengths or more, you are to hold them until the RP section arrives and then immediately resume the advance. Fire support plan. Fire support plan. Sergeant Crabbe. You will conduct the map recce and identify possible OPs to be occupied as needed. 1,000 rounds of HE, 200 rounds of smoke, and 10 rounds of coloured smoke-based eject have been allocated for this operation. Indirect fire support will only be made available if the advance is delayed. No anchor OPs will be established. No pre-registration will be conducted. You will earn your pay on this one, Sergeant. Tasks. Platoons 1, 2 and 3. You will lead the advance and be rotated on order. Ironsides. You will provide shock of action and direct fire support. Sheldrake. You will be a combat multiplier. If I had my way, you'd be at the very point of the axis of advance, but Battle Group Ops has forbidden that. I suspect they think I'd sacrifice speed to treat every point of resistance with a rain of steel, and they're probably correct. Be prepared to provide indirect fire support if the advance seems to be delayed. Administration and logistics. All prisoners of war will be collected by the RP detachment under the command of CHQ CSM Pollard. Starlight will issue the CASADAC plan after these orders. They will be compliant with SOPs. RSM Savage will coordinate ammunition supply with the RQMS. Supply as per battalion SOPs. Command and signals. Primary and alternate, the SIGO will issue. The gunner net, Sergeant Crabbe will issue. Contingency net, the SIGO will issue. Command. Chain of command is as follow, with location of key leaders. I will be commanding this operation, and I will be located at company headquarters. 2IC will be at company TAC. Then adjutant, Captain Darling at CHQ. Then platoon commander, 3 platoon. Then platoon commander, 2 platoon. Then the RSM at company echelon. then platoon commander 1 platoon. I need at least 1 officer at the pointy end. Synchronized watches, Sergeant Crab, we will go on gunner time. Questions in 5. Well, that's the orders brief given, just to add a bit of atmosphere, also to give you some idea of how I'll be playing this campaign. I'm showing my hand a bit, obviously, to Rowan, who's going to be playing the Germans, but I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to figure out how this campaign will be conducted. If you've got any questions in regards to the SMEAC orders, feel free to drop a comment in there. Feel free to pick them apart if you want. If you think these orders were poor, I'd love to hear your opinion. So feel free. Other than that, the next video will be the first battle in the pint-sized campaign, and this looks like it's going to be an interesting one. That's all for now. Feel free to subscribe, share, like, and I'll see you on the next video. Ubiquay.